Good afternoon and welcome to the ESI Africa studio. With us this afternoon we have David Donnelly, partner of Mazars Global Infrastructure Finance. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Pamela. Yeah.
Let's dive straight in with the first question. What are some of the trends that you've been noticing within the power space in Africa, within the project space specifically?
Sure. Yeah. Well, one very noticeable thing at the moment is the degree to which recently completed projects and projects have just become operational or are hoping to become operational. The experience of those projects is now informing how people are thinking about the projects that they're currently developing or seeking to finance. So, the project as intended sometimes doesn't quite go to plan. And there are now a couple of instances of where, in quite significant projects, where there has been issues to do with things like construction delay or failure to connect to the grid not being ready. Those sorts of things are now very much focusing people's minds to make sure that they cover those issues off well in advance, so that an increasing focus on contractor experience and an absolute eye on preparedness of, for example, for a generation project, the parallel readiness of the grid is absolutely vital, and people are going to be focusing much more on that now than they might have done, say, when thinking about projects a few years ago. So that experiential loop is I think very positive to projects. It just means that developers are becoming more sophisticated, as are the investors and indeed the governments in terms of pushing things through. So people are more conscious of the need to properly prepare projects, to properly select the project counterparties so that the project will go smoothly. And in other environments there are plenty of really good successful projects which have gone very smoothly because they ticked all those boxes correctly in the first instance, so that they're a better place to look to deal with the unforeseen.
Very interesting. I think we just need to hope that these lessons can be employed in future projects, and that people
they very much are.
Okay,
yeah.
That's really good news, and hopefully project success will be rife moving forward.
Yeah.
My next question, David, what is affecting investor appetite within sub-Saharan Africa at the moment?
Sure. Well, I think in the power space, fundamentally power is fundamental to the economic development of the continent, and there's still, there remains a shortage of access to power, reliability issues, and outright cost issues as well. So there's very positive drivers for the need for more investment, and people generally see that given it's so economically essential, that a good investment case can be made around that for the properly structured project. So that all continues to be positive. A couple of global trends, though, just to be aware of. And one thing driving the market also is that we have had a very benign environment for infrastructure investment, principally very low global interest rates and an increasing recognition by the investment community that infrastructure assets being very long-term and also very positive for macroeconomically in terms of their contribution to other activities. These are very, very good long-term investment for pension institutions and other long-term investors. So there has been that drive into infrastructure which has positively benefited. If there are any sort of clouds on the horizon, I think it's probably around what the direction of interest rates are in the world at the moment. Is that they are absolutely rock bottom levels. There's signals that rates will be ticking up in the coming years, and that could have an effect, whether that be manifests itself in a higher cost of capital to projects, or also in the form of currency devaluation, which would make projects, it would make the affordability of projects more of a challenge were that to happen. But so people need to be mindful of that, and I think the thing that people really probably what that will focus on is the right projects. So that in effect, if capital becomes more expensive, then you absolutely have to focus on that the right projects get done, and there isn't sort of projects which are progressed which maybe aren't as necessary or as essential. That's that's just one possibility, but broadly speaking, I think that the future is still very positive.
Thank you, David. Certainly many variables to keep an eye on there.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Pamela.
And thank you so much to our viewers as well. My name is Pamela Larg, Senior Writer for ESI Africa, reporting from African Utility Week.